everyone. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to teach you a couple of strategies to use when you're helping your child to solve difficult words. At the beginning of the year, I handed out a package called Helping Your Child Learn to Read, and in there are a lot of strategies you can use to solve difficult words, and they're just rules based on phonics and how words are composed. So I have a lesson here that I used last year with my SKs, and I'm going to show you how I teach students to sound them out. Now, I haven't taught all of these strategies yet, but I figured if you're reading with your child on Res Kids or doing home reading and you're stuck on a word and you don't really know how to help them sound it out, I thought I'd show you. All right, so if you watched my last video on introducing the word "and," you'll know that we use sound boxes to help us solve difficult words. So one thing we haven't learned yet, but we will soon, is something called pushy E. And pushy E plays a game, makes the vowel say its name. So what the E at the end of a word does is it will actually push this vowel to make its own name. So far we've been learning about short vowel sounds such as I, and soon we will learn about long vowel sounds which basically just say their own name. So when we have an E at the end of a word, there has to be a consonant beside it, and then it's going to push that next vowel to say its name. So I'm going to grab a marker and I'm going to start doing my sound boxes. So what I notice right away is that there is an E at the end, and then there is a consonant, and then the letter I, which is a vowel. So right off the bat, I'm going to cross out that E because it doesn't make a sound. What it does is it pushes that I to make its own name. So I'm going to do my sound boxes, starting off with S. Now that is no longer I because of pushy E, it is now I. D. S. I-d. S. Side. So then we click on the little clip art, and instead of showing the picture of what the word is, it actually says what strategy did you use to help you, and in this case we used pushy E. Alright. The next thing is something we learn closer to the end of SK, but I'll give you a hint right now, is that ER, IR, and UR, when they're together, they always make the sound. So I forget what I called that strategy, right, bossy R. So ER, oops, sorry that's messy, IR, oh god, and UR. All make the sound. Now we have to be careful because a lot of the time students will say R as and not R. That's why it's important that when you're sounding out words for R you use R instead of So I look at the whole word and I look at starting at the beginning. G says G. However, in this case, you'll realize that that doesn't make sense, of course. I see an E and R together, which makes And then So sounding out germ, germ, not a word. So you ask your child, well, what other sound does G make? It makes the sound of J. So now let's try that. Germ. Here's another example of pushy E. Pushy E plays a game, makes the vowel say its name. So, pushes the I to say I. I'd, hide. Oops. And we used pushy E. All right. This word starts off with something called a consonant buddy or a blend, which are two consonants that, when they're next to each other, they make one sound. So, consonant buddies are really easy to learn because as long as you know the sounds that those letters make, then you can easily make out the blend. So G and R is g, r, grr. So G and R make grr. The last letters, I notice that there is an E. Now be careful because not every E at the end of the word will be a pushy E. But I'm pretty sure for the most time it is, as long as there's a consonant and then a vowel. So this word has three sounds. Gur, aid, grade, grade. Consonant buddy and pushy E. All right, this is a tricky one because you would think that it uses pushy E phonetically the way the word is composed, but it doesn't. And that's because when O and U are together, they usually make the ow sound. Ow, s, ow, s. So OU and OW make the ow sound, like in cow, and in the word ow, s. All right. So what I call OU and OW are clumsy OU or clumsy OW. And that's because when you fall, you say ow, and you're clumsy, and you fall, and you get the hint. So I hope that gives you a couple of ideas on ways to sound out words with your child. I'll see if there are any other ones I can show you. Here is an example of where you are together make the sound. T, n. Aha, this one is very important. How could I forget? So, when two vowels go a walkin', the first one does the talkin' and says its own name. So when we're looking at a word and we don't know how to sound it out, we look to see if there are two vowels together. That is why knowing the vowels is incredibly important. So, I start at the beginning of the word, I notice there's a consonant buddy, or a blend. Tur. Now it isn't tur, at, because there are two vowels. And when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking and says its own name, which is E. So we're not going to hear the A. So really we could not even do a sound box around A, but I like to so that you can see that E and A together make E. So the E will make the E sound. So when we sound this word out, it is eat, treat, and we used a consonant buddy and two walking vowels. Okay, this one as well. So when you see two consonants together that are exactly the same, they only make one sound. S, I, l. Now, the letter Y is considered a vowel when it is at the end of a word. When Y is at the end of the word, it will never make the Y sound. It'll either make the E sound or the I sound. So we're going to try both. S, L, I, still I? Nope. S, L, E. silly, the E sound works. And we call that dressed up Y because the Y dresses up as either an E or I. So there we go. So I hope that that helped you. Like I said, we're going to be learning these strategies throughout the year. And some of this stuff is more aimed to the beginning of grade 1, so a lot of it we won't actually get to until the beginning of the new year. However, if you are at home and you want to practice sounding out some words, if you know these rules, you can pretty much solve any word based on phonics. So I encourage you to keep practicing and let me know if you need any help, okay? Happy reading!